horses on New Year's Eve, walking down my Brooklyn street. And I saw fireworks in your eyes. I was falling, falling, falling 1 year ago at this time. Now I'm trying to get back my mind. I'll take my photographs, wrap them in bubble wrap. I'm leaving for the weekend, or maybe for the year. I'll secure all my edges, all the fragile remarks that were taken the wrong way, before I go leaving for the year. Taken the wrong way.
Hey, how's it going? My name's John. Welcome to John's Bus Conversion. This week I'm going to continue the walkthrough of how the bus works I started last week for Annie and anyone else that wants to see. Today I'm going to be covering the plumbing, both wastewater and freshwater, composting toilet, and how I hooked up the propane. Sounds exciting, huh? Hey, stay tuned.
Hi guys, remember me? I was that nerdy little 11-year-old kid who went on rants about gluten not's healthy. I'm 15 now.
Here we are under the bus, and there is a gray water tank here, it's called, which is normally used for shower water and sink water, things like that. In my case, I bought the gray water tank used from a guy who also had a Blackwater tank that was broken that he threw in for free. The Blackwater tank would normally be used for sewage water, but I don't have, in this bus, I have a dry composting toilet. And so I plastic welded this back together. And if you're interested in that, I'll put a link. I have a couple of videos where I showed how I did that. But anyway, I had this also, so I figured I'd just hook the two of them up so you can see they're just hooked up together. And I just use them both as a wastewater, a gray water system. And so I have, oh man, probably like 90 gallons of capacity as far as the wastewater goes, even though I don't nearly have that much in freshwater capacity yet. I'll have to add more later. The drain for the wastewater system comes out here. I have this valve I can open and then unscrew this. And you can see from the kind I have, I can hook a hose up to this, which is normally what I do. I don't have, sewer water, so I don't need to use a regular sewer tank, and I can actually just water my lawn. I'm using biodegradable soap, and it's just sink water. And also the urine from the urine separating composting toilet also goes into the tank as well, and it all comes out here. And here's my composting toilet. And I also have some videos on how I made this, which I will post as well, in case you're interested. But the way it works is there's this funnel kind of like thing here. I bought it on eBay. I've got a little filter on here. Bought that on eBay, and it is made for this purpose, separated for a urine separating toilet. And then there's the bucket. The poop goes in the bucket. The pee goes into this thing and down into the holding tank below. The secret of these toilets are twofold. First of all, both things are equally important. You must have this to separate the urine, and equally important, I can tell you from experience, failed experience, is you must have this vent as well. And all this does is this is connected to well, there's a computer fan in here, which I can turn on with this switch that's currently off. And the reason it's off, normally this has to run 24 hours a day. This is an extra fan. I have a solar operated standalone. It'll run 24 hours a day. It's got its own lithium ion batteries, and it's a roof fan. And that was a little spendy. The toilet itself was under $50. The roof vent, which is optional, I think was a couple of $100 if I remember correctly. But I don't need that. I can just use this computer fan. Just that I'm drawing off the battery when I do this. And I'm not drawing off the battery when I use the solar operated one. But it really doesn't use very much. A computer fan hardly uses anything. Now this here is where my water hookup is. And you can see there are two fixtures here. This one is for just the city water hookup. So if I screw a hose into this and turn the hose on, the sinks in the bus will all work, and the shower and everything like that. This one here is for filling the water tank that's underneath, next to where the gray water tank was that I showed you a minute ago. And so I can unscrew this, put a hose in there, fill the water tank up this way. And I actually have another way to fill the water tank up, which I'll show you in a minute. It's pretty cool how this works. The water comes in behind the wall here, and there is a one-way valve in there on the other side of the city water. So the city water hookup comes in. There's a one-way valve to prevent it from backflowing toward the tank, and then there's another one-way valve on the water pump itself. And what that does is when the city water is hooked on, the pump pressure is never going to go below charge. So the pump is never going to turn on when the city water is turned on. But when it's off and you turn the water on, the pump will depressurize and just work, and it just sits there and works. You don't need to switch between city water and onboard water. It just works. And then as far as filling it up, so if I have city water hooked up, I can also fill my tank by opening this valve here. And all that does is it bypasses the one-way valve I just talked about, so the water can backflow into the tank. And you just have to remember to turn it off when you're done. Otherwise the pump won't pump, it'll just recirculate the water. It's a good idea to have it shut off for your pump, because if you run out of water or something, the pump will just keep running if the water tank goes dry, and you don't want that. So rather than having to go and pull a fuse every time you want to turn it off, it's a good idea to have a shut off. So here's my shut off. It's off now, and the pump is on now. And when the pump is on, the water works. And the last thing I was going to show you is the propane. Propane tanks are in here. I had to use extra small ones because they wouldn't fit. Standard tank doesn't fit. I drilled holes in the top, the bottom, and the sides of this thing to provide ventilation according to the specs I found published on the net. Also, this bin does not lock. I took the lock off it, so it's always accessible. The propane runs under the bus. I used black steel, which is specifically for propane, and then also copper tubing specifically for propane. That's beyond the scope. Don't even do it if you don't know what you're doing. It could be dangerous, but you have to, you would never use regular water copper. You have to use fittings that are flared, not soldered together, because fire and propane don't mix. Okay, well, I hope you found that useful. I will put links down in the description to the videos I mentioned, and if you have any questions, suggestions, please feel free to leave a comment or contact me or whatever. And hey, thanks for watching. Hope to catch you next time. Later.
Mm-hmm.